right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, I do believe the last week I didn't post an episode because I was on vacation. I do think I posted one the week before where I did leave for vacation, and I feel like my voice is going right now for a little bit. I don't know why. I think it's because I've been doing check-ins all day. I had to catch up for check-ins with my clients for like the last 2 or 3 weeks just to make sure everything was good. So I've been talking all day, and it is killing me. But nonetheless, I just wanted to give you guys an update on the vacation. It was great. A lot of you guys gave me so much feedback as to just be present. A lot of you guys that listen to my podcast, I talk to you guys a lot every day because most of you guys are my community that I engage with, and I just think it was crazy to go in with the intentions of just trying to let off the gas and just enjoy life for once. And it was one of those things where I got a lot more out of it than I think I'll ever really truly understand, and for the rest of my life I'm going to learn and kind of unpack that box. But it was great, and I'm absolutely fired up to be home and jump into, back into the podcast, back into the clients, serving the community, and just honestly building life to continue that success and continue that momentum to enjoy vacation, enjoy my life, and just continue to level the fuck up. So today's episode, I want to talk about, honestly, my fat loss journey. I am 183, 85 pounds right now. I'm 7 weeks out, 6 weeks out from my bodybuilding show. It's April 11th. When I started this year, January 1st, I was 207 pounds. So since the beginning of the year, I've lost over 23 to 24 pounds of body fat. And I want to share with you guys how I've done that. And the reason why I think it's relevant to share from my personal experiences is because, I could talk about the tactical ways to lose fat. I could talk about the science about losing fat. I could talk about strength and conditioning and building muscle. I could talk about all these things, but I want to give you guys a rundown of exactly how I lost 20 to 25 pounds of body fat while recording this podcast, while serving my clients, while going on vacation, while enjoying myself, and not really taking away from my life. A lot of people hold, actually I was talking to somebody today, and it's like, you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. When we want to tackle fitness, we want to tackle mental health, we want to tackle these goals in our life, we make them way bigger than they need to be. We give them more credit than they deserve. And losing fat is simple. It's energy in versus energy out. That's all it is. Energy in is how much food you eat. Energy out is how much do you burn through the course of the day. So the biggest thing you guys got to understand as to how I lost 25 pounds of body fat was the base going into this cut, the base going into trying to lose fat. You can't just wake up not regulating your nutrition, not moving your body, not hydrating, not really giving a fuck about your fitness, and then just be like, I want to lose fat. It doesn't work that way. You have to get your metabolism, your immunity, and just your mental health in a good position to at least make decisions. Making a decision to lose fat right out of the gate is great, and you will see some success, but it's not going to be over 15 pounds, over 20 pounds, over 30 pounds. It may be 5 to 10, but then you're just going to fall back into other habits. So the biggest thing I want you guys to understand as to how I lost 25 pounds of fat is when January 1st hit, I was already 1 to 2 to 3 fucking years locked in on my macros, locked in on my goals, locked in on my hydration. So what I mean by locked in is I was going to the gym 5 times a week already before I started this cut. I was already drinking 4 liters of water every single day before I got into this cut, and I was proactively tracking my nutrition for 3 years prior. So you don't have to be that extreme with it. You don't have to have that big of an experience or that big of a background going into it, but you need to at least have 4 to 6 to 8 weeks of a base of trying to go to the gym more often than not, trying to stay hydrated more often than not, protecting your boundaries to eat healthy and pick whole food, nutrient-dense foods versus takeouts and eating junk foods, doing drugs and smoking and drinking all the time. So your fat loss success is going to be dependent on your foundation going into it. Now, if you're going into your fat loss trying to create your foundation, it's going to be a lot harder because you're laying the bricks as you're trying to figure out what to do on top of those bricks. You're literally learning as you're going. So when I went into this, I had a foundation. And any of you guys that work with me for your fat loss goals, I create that foundation first, because once we create a foundation where you can trust yourself to train a certain amount of times a week. Let's say it's 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. It fits your schedule. We know it's consistent. It's a measurable metric we can use. Same with hydration. We're not fucking talking about, you didn't drink enough water today. You didn't drink enough water today. You didn't. It's bullshit. If you're missing your water 1 day a week, it's not going to work. 2 days a week, definitely not going to work. 3 days, definitely not going to work. 4 days, are you even trying? So there's that aspect of it as well, like having a bad foundation of your body being hydrated so it can have the fluids and have the hydration, which is so fucking important, which could be its own fucking podcast episode. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm losing my voice, which is crazy. That's like doing voice notes for the last 2 days. I guess talking for 2-3 hours is actually catching up to me. But and before I got into it, it's like you gotta have some base story. You gotta have some base with nutrition. It doesn't have to be counting your macros and knowing exactly where everything's at. But are you eating breakfast? Are you eating lunch? Are you eating dinner? Are you eating more regularly? Are you not eating takeout? Like, are you cooking your food at home? Are you being proactive with it? So a foundation is what's gonna help you the most to lose fat. Once you have some sort of foundation, you have data, you have measurable, you have metrics of measurement that we can use and to manipulate. So prime example, let's say for me, coming into this year, I was going 5 days a week to the gym. I was doing about 4 to 6K steps every single day, and I was drinking 4 liters of water a day. My calories at that time were around 3,500 calories. So now I'm in a big surplus at that point. I'm eating about 1,500 calories, 1,000 calories more than my body burns. I'm gaining weight. That's why I was 207 pounds. So the first thing I do is the gym stays the same. Intensity in the gym stays the same. Volume 5 days a week. Hydration stays the same. Steps stay the same for the first week or two until my body can calibrate dropping calories. So then I go from 3,500 calories, I went down to 3,100. So I took 400 calories out every single day. Now, to give you guys a little bit more science, it's 3,500 calories and 1 pound of fat. So 400 times 7, I'm just about a pound and a half of fat away, burning extra a week. So statistically speaking, if I drop the calories by 400 calories a day, over the course of a week, I should lose 1 to 2 pounds within. You know, obviously there's a lot of other variables in there like sleep, stress, and all these other things. But once I did that, I went from 207 to 204 within the first 2-3 weeks. So right there already, I lost 3 to 4 pounds just from getting out of a surplus. So then what I did with my calories again, went from 3,100 down to 2,750. And then at this point, once I was eating 2,750 calories a day, that was 400 calories down to what I originally, plus an extra 350, 400 calories again. So now I'm 800 calories in a deficit compared to where I started. So then what I did as well, I increased my steps, and then went from 4 to 6K steps to 6 to 8K steps. And then miraculously, I went from, over the next 2 weeks, 204 down to 198. So within the first 4 to 6 weeks of the year before I got into my bodybuilding prep, all I did was change the variables of how much I was ingesting by 800 calories over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, which at this point, to give you reference, I was eating a crazy amount of calories before this. So for you in your position, it's probably not going to be the same of dropping calories in that regard. But again, I entered this at a bulk. I entered this with 3 years prior, not fucking missing my goals. So my body was used to eating this many calories. So the second I made the adjustment to ingest less, my body needed that extra energy from elsewhere. So then it starts burning off fat, burning off glycogen storages, which is your carbs. And then once I start to continue that deficit with my calories and increase my output, meaning increasing my actual burning of the calories, it becomes a double whammy, which then it's burning fat on both ends, from less ingesting of the food and then more output from moving my body more to burn more calories. So once I got into that spot there, then it was all about, okay, where's my hunger cues? You know, am I still getting good pumps in the gym? Is my sleep good and everything like that? Everything was fucking phenomenal. So this is where it becomes, now I get into a cut. Now I get into a deficit. So at this point here, I reversed myself from the beginning of January, probably until about Valentine's Day, kind of middle of February, to my maintenance calories, which is around 2,600, 2,700 calories, around 6 to 8K steps. I maintained my muscle. I didn't feel depleted, meaning I didn't feel like I was lethargic, losing energy. And then all I started to do was then keep my calories the same, because I enjoy that many calories. I could feel that my body was at the point where I wasn't having a ton of extra calories and extra surplus. I could feel it in the gym, feel it in my own overall energy level. So instead of take my calories and drop them again, I increased my steps, and then I was going 8 to 10K steps a day. As soon as I did 8 to 10K steps a day with the other calories being dropped previously starting, I went from 198 down to 195, 194. You know, so then this is where we get to the point where, okay, my body's in a good position. I've lost about 10 to 12 pounds with very little effort because my body was primed before I got into the cut. And all I did was change how much calories I was ingesting, which I'm going to highlight that a lot because that's as easy as it is for fat loss. I adjusted the calories I was ingesting, and I started to move my body more. So this is where I get into the position where now I'm starting prep. So when I'm starting prep, things start to change. The reason why things start to change is because this is where you get into a deficit and get into a cut to really burn fat. And the reason why I'm emphasizing in that way is because if you systemize your nutrition, gain an understanding of calories and how your body reacts to them and how your body reacts to certain levels of output with volume in the gym, volume of overall day-to-day activity, you can lose a substantial amount of fat. Like I just said, about 10 to 15 pounds I lost already, just by making those adjustments. But when you want to get into a deficit to get that lean, dense look, to get striations, to get veins, to really challenge yourself, it's going to be fucking hard. So when I took my calories at this point down from 2,700, 2,600 down to 23, 2,400, that's when I get into a position where I don't have enough fuel each day. And then my steps stayed the exact same because I could feel my body. My body was getting to a point where around 8 to 10K steps, especially 10K steps, Anything more, I feel my body taxed. My feet start to get taxed a little bit, my knees, my hips. I start to feel it in my joints. So what that tells me is my output from moving my body is just about at its peak before I start getting into the red zone a little bit. And getting into the red zone for a deficit is going to happen. That's what you guys got to understand, which is why I'm breaking this up and just explaining it from my point of view for myself personally. Because again, 10 to 15 pounds lost from just making those subtle adjustments can happen to anybody if you're consistent enough on those metrics. But to get into that lean, dense, striate, lose that body fat look, you got to get into the red zone and challenge yourself. So I knew for a fact already, even right now, 7 weeks out from a Bodybuilding Show, I'm still around 10K steps. The reason why that is because I know for a fact as soon as I go to 12K to 14K, 16K, whatever it is, my body's going to get redlined in terms of stress, which means my body's going to have a negative side effect. I may hold water, may retain some body fat, and it just kind of puts me too far in the red zone. So what I do is I play with my nutrition. So now my nutrition goes from 24 to 26, 27 down to 2,300. So at this point, now that's where I'm into the red zone, where throughout the course of the week, I start to get exhausted. I start to feel like my workouts aren't as good, my energy's not as focused, and that's when you know your body is using all of the extra fat that hasn't burned in a long time. And that's the hard part that most of you guys can't stay consistent with. So after I do that for about a week to 2 weeks, I literally go down to 191 to 190, give or take. And then this leads me up to right before I go to my trip, where I go down to 2,100 calories in 10K steps. So then right at this point now, my body is depleted. If you look at it from the beginning of when I started, 3,500 down to 2,100 calories, I'm 1,500 calories less, and my steps are literally double. So when you understand that, on paper it makes sense and it sounds easy, but once you get past that threshold, like I did after 2,500 calories and after 8K steps, you get into the red zone. So what happens in the red zone is your hunger is there, so in between meals you're a little bit hungry. Your sleep may be affected because you're just not as fueled throughout the course of the day, so you're just trying to adjust to being hungry and just have it more like pretty much focused. You're trying to focus a lot more, like your caffeine intake goes up. If you're into nicotine or any other things for mental alertness, that goes up. You start to just kind of find crutches to kind of make sure you continue to go forward. And that's just the name of the game, because it's not easy to lose fat. So as soon as I hit that threshold, what happens is you start to lose weight. And then if you're doing it properly, and my client Serge is a prime example of this, eventually you're either going to have your weight stay stagnant, not going to move, which means your body doesn't have enough fuel to kickstart the metabolism, which is at that point there, you're usually cranky, you're usually flat meaning in the gym, you don't have no pump, you have no energy, your sleeps are kind of trash, and your body just feels like it's taxed. It feels like you're beat up all the time. So when I feel that, which I have been feeling, I have a high calorie refeed day. So what happens is at least once a week or once every couple of days, depending on what my weight is saying, I have an extra 500 to 600, 800 calories, or maybe depending on how depleted and how hungry and how bad my body is breaking down at that point in the deficit, I have 1,500 extra calories. And the reason why I love this and why I'm going to highlight Serge for this is because same thing with him. His weight was staying stagnant. I gave him 3 high calorie days in a row to replenish his glycogen storages, which means he's going to get pumps in the gym now, replenish his fat storages to make sure his hormones are set, and just honestly let off the gas a little bit and enjoy Easter. Enjoy your friends and your family. Enjoy the time around you. So again, stress hormone, cortisol goes down. As soon as he did that, we went back into the game plan, dropped his calories, and he went from 154 down to 152 within 3 days. So same thing with me. My weight got stagnant. Or the opposite, which sometimes happen with me, I drop like 3 to 4 pounds overnight. And when that happens, it shows that my metabolism fired the fuck up and kickstarted. So then again, if that means you're in the red zone, and if you continue to stay in that red zone, your cortisol will rise, your body will get out of whack, and then you're going to start feeling all of the negative effects. And that's when most people binge, that's when most people give up, and that's when most people just really struggle the most. But then again, as your calories drop or your weight staying the same, introduce a high calorie day. And since I've been around 2,200 calories, I've had about 4 to 5 refeeds, meaning 4 to 5 high calorie days. So I say that because if you do everything properly with a fat loss diet, you have a base, you get into it, you're measuring your metrics of output from a walking standpoint to going to the gym standpoint to tracking your hydration, your sleep, and your stress, it really becomes simple. It's just hard during the times when you get into the red zone of the calorie deficit that you get caught up with your emotions. You want to binge eat, you want to enjoy time with friends, you just want to have time away from everything that you're doing. And if you can calculate the high calorie days around your lifestyle while putting in the work, you can lose fat while having you can do it all at the same time. And I literally, before I went on my vacation, which I just got back, like I said, this week, I was 188.4 pounds, I think, was my new low weight before I went into my vacation. And my vacation, the thing is, my ingesting of my food stayed around the same because we had buffets. I probably ate a little bit more calories, but my step goal just doubled to 20K. It doubled to 20K because I was on vacation. I was in the Bahamas, I was in Miami, I was walking a lot. So I burnt a lot of extra calories. So when I came home from my vacation and weighed myself for the first time, I was 182 pounds. So that put me far into the red zone. So at this point here, that's not good, and to make the fat loss sustainable, it's not just about grinding it and being in deficit and killing yourself and having all these steps. When I came back, I actually had to have 2 high calorie days, to the point that I was eating 4,000 calories 2 days in a row to really replenish my glycogen storages. Glycogen storages being your carbs in your bodies and your muscles for that fullness to feel good in the gym. Had to replenish those, so I went from 182 to around 184. I had to replenish my hormone storages, and I had to give myself extra fuel to compensate for all that extra work I did in my body. So now that I'm home, I'm back to the game plan after having 2 high calorie days in a row, so 8,000 calories in 2 days. I barely did any steps, so now my weight's staying around 185 pounds and making it about 24 pounds down. Do you know what I mean? So even though I went on a cruise, enjoyed myself, and had a few drinks, and ate like accordingly, and had way more output, as you can see from January 1st to here, it's all been these small incremental changes that make the biggest impact. And when you get into the deep trenches of it, aka the red zone of it, when you're getting challenged with hunger, getting challenged with going to the gym even though you're tired, that right there is when you're in the sweet spot. And every 4 to 7, 8, 10 days, depending on, I know seems like it's a big variance there, 4 to 10 days, but within those days, if you're doing it correctly, you should be introducing a high calorie day to replenish a lot of these hormones, glycogen storages, hormone storages, and just your cortisol. And then that's when you kind of like, you every day you're depleted, you're not feeling good, and then one day every couple of days you get a high calorie day to boost you up, boost your metabolism, give you a little bit of hope, and then you go back to the game plan. And I have many clients right now that are doing that. Val is one of them as well. He was 222 pounds when he started the program on January 1st, and now he's 198 pounds. You know what I mean? Slowly increase the output, slowly increase the gym, slowly regulate the nutrition, slowly drop the nutrition, and now he's just coasting into it. I think he just had a big cheat meal the other day, and now we got into the red zone of really putting his calories a little bit lower, and every 3 or 4 days, where's your weight at? How's it fluctuating? How's it moving? And that's as simple as it is. And the reason why I want to share it that way is because now, being 7 weeks old, 6 weeks old from a bodybuilding show, I'm starting to feel the effects of it. Like mentally not having as much carbs for energy, like being in the gym, I time a lot of my carbs in the gym, so I have a lot of energy. But after that, I'm cooked for the rest of the day. And that just comes with the territory. Like if you want to have a physique you've never had before, you got to do things you've never done before. And the good thing about me is I'm 31 now. I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. So for me to get into a deficit, regulate my nutrition, and show the fuck up, it's not hard for me. It's just math, it's systemized, and you got to put your emotions aside. But many of you guys have never done it before, so it's hard to really articulate like what that looks like. Do you know what I mean? So like I said, there's 2 sides of it. Number 1 is building a foundation, regulating everything, having everything measurable, so we have metrics to move to know what the variance is going to be for certain things. Like, are you going to the gym? Are you hydrating? Are you ingesting food? Where are those 3 things at? Systemizing that alone, you should lose 10 to 15 pounds depending on where you're at with your life. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose 5 to 10 at least. Now, to get into the red zone, to continue that success, to continue to get like a life, like a body that you've never had, the lean, aesthetic, striations, veins, and all those things, you're going to have to get into the red zone. But understanding what the red zone is something that's very subjective to everyone's lifestyle, because if you have a more labor-intensive job, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to, play with low foods because you have a lot more output, but that comes with more food if you understand how to play the puzzle. If you're more of a sedentary job, it might be a little bit easier for you to play with the food because you don't have as much output, but you're still going to struggle with getting into the gym, getting extra movement in because your lifestyle is more sedentary. So it comes with all of its problems, but the red zone is really just challenging yourself and understanding that you're supposed to be hungry. You're not supposed to feel great in the gym. Even me now, like I feel good when I'm training, but as soon as I'm done, I feel flat. I feel small, because I don't have the energy in my body. I know I look great, but I don't have that energy and those reserves in my body to tap into it. But that's all I've done. Literally, it's April 11th right now. My show is in the next 6-7 weeks. I'm probably going to go from 184 right now, 185, probably down to 175. So I'm literally going to lose another 10 to 12 pounds. And that's going to be an incredibly hard red zone. Like every week I'm going to get depleted from here. My steps are going to go up. I'm going to get into the red zone. My joints are going to be achy. I'm going to be a little bit hungry. I'm going to be a little bit irritated. But that's the red zone. And that's the game you're playing when you're trying to lose fat. It is what it is. You have to put yourself in a position for your body to use the fat that's on your body as energy, which is hard to do and it's hard to feel until long enough until your body is in a state where you have enough body fat that you're happy and healthy with. And then you reverse out by slowly just doing the opposite of what I just said. Slowly dropping your overall movement in your step goal and slowly increasing your calories. And again, you take that up until where you're good. Some people like to take it into a bulk and start gaining a bunch of weight again before the next cut. Me personally, I'm not doing that anymore. I like to get into my maintenance and just have high calorie days 2 to 3 times a week where I can enjoy myself, have extra food with my friends and family, and just indulge a little bit. And that also gives me an extra calories, like a little bit of extra calories to push in the gym and grow and, you know, not feel lethargic and not be in a deficit. But it also keeps me in a position to keep my body fat lean, keep all of the work that I just did to get into a deficit, into a cut, and make sure I just completely don't fuck it all off, you know. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys an experience from what I've gone through without just the this is what this does, this is what this does, and why. I want to just give you feedback as to like what I've been doing the last little bit, because I'm in the best shape of my fucking life right now. The reason why I haven't missed the last 3 years is because I did a bodybuilding show just about a year and a half to 2 years ago, and I prepped for that. I knew what I looked like on stage on that show day, so I knew when I competed in 2 years, I just wanted to beat that person. So that's why I went into a bulk to really grow myself for that time, and that's why I'm so primed now getting into it, is because I've been working progressively for 3 fucking years for this, not missing my macros, my protein, my carbs, my fats, my hydration, or training once. That includes traveling to Miami. That includes going on the cruise. That includes traveling to Tulum and moving there for 4 or 5 months. That also includes going to Houston for a week as well. I didn't miss any of these metrics. Maybe some of the metrics weren't where I wanted them to be based on the travel days, but I still didn't miss. You know what I mean? And there's a lot to be said about that, because getting into a fat loss, you have to commit to it like you haven't committed to anything else in your fucking life, and it's incredibly fucking hard. But I just wanted to ramble about it just to give you guys some more context as to what I'm doing behind the scenes and what I go through every single day. I'm 7 weeks out from my bodybuilding prep. I'm going to lose another 10 pounds of fat, which will be about, like 30 something, over 30 pounds of fat by the time I get on the show day, which is a significant amount of weight to lose. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of you guys that try to lose fat, if you guys lost 30 pounds of fat, you guys would tell yourself you'd be absolutely fucking happy as hell. You know what I mean? And what I just told you is exactly how you can do it. But again, if you're not willing to commit to it and understand the severity that it takes to get to this level, you're never going to see success. Because if you want a body that you've never had or a physique you've never had, you've got to do things you've never done. So remember that next time you guys are getting into your fat loss diet or strength training programs and understand it gets hard, that's when you got to go harder. When you feel like you're about to break, you got to stay committed. When you feel like giving up, you got to keep pushing through. And I can promise you during those times, that's when you're going to see that success that you guys deserve. But other than that, that's all I got. Appreciate you guys all a ton. I'm happy to be back home and locked in and showing up and back into the studio, back serving my clients and back to the grind. But as always, appreciate you guys all. Hope you guys got some takeaways of just my personal side of losing over 25 pounds of body fat. And as per usual, keep leading from the front and send those stinners. Let's fucking go.